Hi, my name is Kim. I'm an introvert who travels the world whilst being on a tight budget, and today we're going to be talking about jet lag. There's nothing worse than paying a load of money to go on holiday, getting there and just feeling really tired and fatigued for the first couple of days. What I hope this video will give you is an idea of what jet lag is, why it affects us, and what we can do to make it not be so bad on our next trip. So let's just get into it. So what is jet lag? Jet lag is a temporary sleep disorder which disrupts the body's natural sleep patterns because you've travelled across time zones. Basically, the more time zones you travel across, the worse it's going to be. So most people have what is essentially an internal clock where your body is kind of synchronized to the daylight and nighttime hours of the country that you live, and that syncs up to when your body feels tired or awake. So jet lag is basically when you travel to a different country with a different light and dark cycle to your own country. So your body's used to waking up, going to sleep at certain times, and now you've gone to a different country and the light and dark cycles of that country doesn't match up to what your internal body clock is used to. So that's what causes the fatigue and the inability to sleep. Is your body's trying to go to sleep when its internal clock is ready to sleep, but the night or daytime cycles of the country they're in don't match up, basically. So jet lag can cause general fatigue, feeling run down, just feeling a little bit unwell. It can cause lack of concentration, disorientation, just sort of feeling a little brain foggy. The most important thing to remember though is that jet lag is only temporary, so you're only going to feel grotty and a little bit sort of unwell and fatigued for only a few days, so don't worry too much about it. So just bear in mind that travelling east, you're going to have worse jet lag than you are when you're travelling west. So as an example, I'm travelling from the UK to the west coast of Canada. I take off from the UK at midday UK time. I land in Canada and it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Canadian time, Pacific time. And then I've got until about 8 o'clock to stay awake. So I've only got 6 hours to stay awake in that little bit there. I've just travelled west across the country. I'm going to come home from the west coast of Canada back to the UK. So we're going to be travelling east now. And my flight's at midday again, but because of the time zones and because of the time difference, I end up landing at about 8 o'clock in the morning UK time. So I've got two choices. I either sleep from midday Canadian time all through my flight, so that is as if it's the overnight and I wake up the next day at 8 o'clock in the morning when I land in the UK, or I don't sleep all night. I land at 8 o'clock in the morning UK time, which is midnight Canada time, and you want to go to bed, so you end up falling asleep at 8 in the morning UK time, and you can't because you need to stay awake until the following evening. It's a lot easier when you're flying to Canada to stay awake for that 6 extra hours until the night than it is for you to stay awake basically for the whole day again because of the time difference and the time zones. So it is a lot harder when you're traveling east. Just because of the time zones and the time differences, it affects you a lot more. But there are things that you can do, regardless of if you're traveling east or west, to minimize your next trip's jet lag. So let's have a look what we can do before you leave. So if you know that you're gonna have a rough time with your jet lag before you leave, get into good sleep practices before you go. So make sure that you're in a good sleep routine, so you're going to sleep and waking up roughly the same time. You're relaxing before you go to sleep. You're just in a good sort of sleep cycle before you go. Make sure that you take some time to shut your mind down before you go to sleep so you can have a more fulfilling sleep. Being able to adjust your body clock before you leave, even if it's just a few hours either way. So I mean, waking up an hour or two later or an hour or two earlier, just so you're a little bit ahead of yourself when you get to your new time zone, can help alleviate your jet lag as well. You're kind of ahead of yourself before you even have the jet lag. It means that your body's natural sleep cycle is a little bit closer to your new destination's time zones. It means that it should be easier once you get there again to get over the initial jet lag. During your flight. So there are things that you can do during your flight that can also help with your jet lag. Make sure that before you get on your flight you have a good night's sleep. You have good rest, you're nice and relaxed, you've eaten a light meal, not a heavy meal though that sits heavy on your stomach, because you don't want to get onto the flight and just feel groggy and sluggish before you've even begun. Try not to consume alcohol or caffeine. This can upset your sleep cycle and make your jet lag worse. Take a wash kit on board. Depending on your departure and arrival time and, you know, things like that, can depend on how much sleep you should get on board. But if you're going on quite a long haul flight, one thing that I try and do sometimes is if I sleep for the first part of the flight, so that's kind of like my designated napping time, I guess. About halfway through the flight then, I use that as my morning. So I wake up in the morning, which is halfway through my flight. I use my wash kit that I bought on board. I have a wash, I have a refresh, I brush my teeth. It's as if that is the start of my day. So I'm starting fresh from halfway through my flight onwards for the rest of my day then. And depending on your flight and where you're going, that may be something you may be able to incorporate in as well. You incorporate a designated time for sleep during your flight and then a sort of a wake up in the morning kind of routine. So it feels as if even though you're on a flight, you're still doing your normal sort of wake up routine. I know that it can be hard to sleep on board a flight, but there are things that you can take with you that can make sleeping on board a little bit easier for you. One thing that I like to take with me is my dressing gown, because I can kind of use it to keep nice and comfy and warm, but I can also use it as a blanket if I want to sleep. Other things that you can take on board with you is one of those flight neck pillows. You can take a sleep mask, you can take earplugs, anything that you can do to help sleep easier for you. The more sort of in rotation you can get with your sleep by using naps on board the flight, the easier jet lag's going to be on the other side for you. Stay hydrated and stretch often. The last thing you want to do is get off that flight and feeling like all horrible and groggy and crusty and fatigued because you didn't get up and stretch enough and stay hydrated. So you want to try and do your best to get off that flight the other side nice, rested, hydrated, relaxed, lovely, nice. Once you've arrived, the aim is to try and get back into your natural sleeping cycle as fast as you can. So even if you don't feel tired, go to bed anyway. I know it can be horrible just trying to sleep and not being able to, but try and put your mindset into a place where it's more available for sleep. So you make your surroundings so that it's closer to what going to sleep would be. So no technology in your room, dim your lights, have silence or sort of nice relaxing music to try and put yourself into the mood of sleeping. One of the worst things you can do, and I do this, so I kind of know from experience not to do it, is I feel myself not able to sleep. So rather than going, right, calm, relax, I go, I can't sleep, I can't sleep, I can't sleep, I can't sleep. And then all that goes on in my head is, you can't sleep, you can't sleep. And then the anxiety just kind of topples on top of each other. And the more you can't sleep, the more anxious you get. And the more anxious you get, the more you can't sleep. So try your best to remain calm and stay relaxed. That's the best way that you're going to be able to go to sleep. Don't be Kim. Be relaxed. Another good thing to do is set an alarm for the morning when you want to wake up, and don't oversleep. When the alarm goes off, get up. Regardless of how tired you feel, get up anyway, because the last thing you want to do is sleep in and then basically all you're doing is prolonging the length that your jet lag's going to be with you for. Be aware that if you're only travelling to a place for 2 or 3 nights, it may be better for you to actually just stay in your home time sleep schedule rather than going through jet lag for the sake of like a day. Medicines are not recommended for jet lag. It'll only take you a couple of days to get used to your new time zone. The NHS website says sleeping tablets may be helpful if you're having problems sleeping, insomnia. They can be addictive, so should only be used for a short time and if symptoms are severe. Melatonin is a chemical released by the body in the evening to let your brain know there is time to sleep. Melatonin supplements are not recommended for jet lag because there's not enough evidence to show that they work. Do you suffer really bad with jet lag, or do you have any additional tips and tricks to getting over jet lag that I haven't mentioned in this video? let me know down in the comments below. I've started a new video series on IGTV, so over on my Instagram, called Quick Small Wins Travel Edition. Basically what this is every Wednesday I'll be releasing a 1 to 3 minute video talking about quick hints and tips and ways that can make your travel in the future easier. If you're interested in those little quick midweek videos, they go up usually every Wednesday around 7 o'clock. Also, we do live streams on this channel every Monday and Friday, 6 PM UK time, where we talk about travel news, we play little trivia games. It's really fun, so if you want to join, you are welcome. Come join us on Monday, no problem, you are invited. Twice a week we put out informative travel videos on this channel, so if you want to be notified when the next one's coming out, don't forget to subscribe and ring the notification bell. If you want to start traveling but you're unsure of how long your next trip should be, but here I'm going to put a video about trip length and which one could be best for you. And be here I'm going to put a video about how to make your next long haul trip the best flight that you've ever had in your life. But I hope you enjoy. I'll see you again. Enjoy your life. Ta-da!